Let me just, first of all, get all the thank yous done because there's a lot of people in this room I want to thank, and I want to be really quick. I want to start by thanking Sheila Dillon, the Chief of Housing for the City of Boston, who's done incredible work. I'll talk about Sheila in a little bit. Lila Bernstein, Special Advisor on Homelessness to me and the Mayor's Office in the City of Boston, thank you. To Jim Green, the Director of our Emergency Management Shelter Commission, thank you, Jim, who's been doing this work for a long time. Brendan Little from Office of Recovery Services, thank you, Brendan. Anissa Asabi George, City Councilor Anissa Asabi George, who last year made the priority of youth homelessness in the school department her top issue. We're able to put some money in the budget. We're able to put some more money this year, and really looking at seeing at using data to see how it's working and making sure that young people that are homeless are living in a home and working towards that. And putting the money is one thing, but backing up with data and making sure it happens is another. So thank you. I want to thank all the advocates and partners that look around the room. There's a lot of you. I want to give a special shout out to Elizabeth and Bridge Over Troubled Waters. Where are you, Elizabeth? Thank you very much for your great work. I have a whole bunch of notes here, and I'm going to walk away, and people are going to get mad at me, but I'm going to do it anyway. Okay, anyway. All right, so every night in Boston, there are roughly 360 young people living on the streets of our city. You already know that. I want to thank the advisory committee. Will the advisory board members stand up? Youth advisory, where are you? Stand up. I just want to say I'm just going to tell, I got elected in 1997 as a state representative. I represented Dorchester. One of the first organizations I met as a state representative was Pine Street Inn, and they're here. Lindy Downey's here. I saw Lindy when I was walking my way, Lindy. From 97 until 2013, when it was budget week, which was this week at the State House, Pine Street and Lindia and Amy Cruz would be in my office advocating for more money around homelessness. And Lindia, I was learning about what Pine Street was doing homelessness at the time. They were building housing, a housing first model. They were doing they had their shelter. They were doing family housing on Pleasant Street in Dorchester. They were doing all kinds of programming, and I was watching them do their programming. So I felt that, I went on the Pine Street van, I felt that when it came to homelessness, I knew a little bit about it because I was a state rep, and I always fought for the funding. And if you ask Joe Finn's another champion. I don't think Joe's here, but he was a guy from Quincy City Council that did a lot of work around ending homelessness. He was always in my office. I got elected mayor of Boston in 2014. And one of my priorities, a lot of priorities, was addiction because I'm in recovery. One of my priorities was homelessness and dealing with homelessness. And my first 8 months as being mayor, the way we dealt with homelessness is we have a shelter. We had a shelter, and they did great work. And it was on Long Island, and things were going good. And I came to Bridge Over Troubled Waters event my first 2 months as mayor, and I went up on the stage and tried to raise a lot of money. And we were doing a lot of things. I was making sure the schools were funded. I was making sure that the streets were clean. I was making sure that the water and sewer was working. I was making sure that planning was going on in the city, all the things you do as mayor. And then in October of 2013, my Public Works Commissioner came into me and said that we have to shut Long Island Bridge down because the bridge is collapsing into the ocean. And in August of that year, we knew there was a problem because the stanchion joints were coming apart. And I knew that the bridge didn't have much life left in it, but we had put $5 million in the budget to try and fix it again. I mean, it's been 20 years of fixing. Fast forward. October, I think, 23rd, Mike Denny came in and said we got to shut the bridge down. We shut the bridge down. We had to. We couldn't put another car on the bridge. My concern was we drive a car across the bridge or a bus and it collapses and the bus goes in the ocean and people die. So when we evacuated the island, we couldn't use buses. We had to shut the island down and take people off by boat. Now, on the island was our homeless shelter. On the island was our detox programs. On the island was halfway houses. On the island was every single social service program you can imagine. And as somebody in recovery, knowing the impact that this would have in the streets, I'm like, oh God, what are we going to do here? So we opened up a shelter and we opened up some programming and we tried to find places. What it did though, what it did for me was force me and force us in the city to have a real conversation around homelessness. Like not a fake one, a real one. And we did, and we talked about creating shelters and space and what are we going to do, and the bridge is going to take 5 years to be built, and where are we going to put all these homeless people, and how are we going to deal with it, and what are we going to happen. And we started looking at the services that we have, and what are we doing. We did touch youth homelessness, but that was really Bridge touch youth homelessness, and some other programs touch youth homelessness. And And we did a little bit, but not really. And we really didn't touch family homelessness because that was at the state, and we were kind of thinking, okay, we have all these different systems in place here. How do we come up with a better system? So we sat down with Sheila, and Lila wasn't with us yet, and we sat down with a whole bunch of people, and we brought the experts who do this work into a table. We brought in Pine Street, we brought in Bridge, we brought in St. Francis House, and we brought in Rosie's place, and we brought in all the places doing all the work, and we said, what do we have to do in Boston? And what they said was, in a nice way, and I heard it a different way, we're not doing enough. We're housing people, meaning that when it's cold outside, there's a bed for somebody, and when it's warm outside, that person goes back on the street. And we weren't really doing things that we needed to do to actually deal with the issue of homelessness. We had counselors and things like that, but not on a big scale. So we came up with a plan. And then in 2015, Michelle Obama had a bunch of mayors down in the White House, and she challenged us to end chronic veterans homelessness in our cities within a year. And we took her up on that challenge. And we said, okay, I came back to the office, I'm like, I don't know how we're going to do this, but we got to figure it out. And at the end of 2015, in Boston, we had housed 500 plus chronically homeless people in about an 8-month period where they were living in a home, and we ended what was known as chronic. Now, it doesn't mean homeless people and veterans still aren't homeless, but we ended chronic veterans homeless as the people who want to live in a home. We took that program. We took that program and we put it across all chronic homelessness, and we said we want to end all chronic homelessness in Boston. And since 2015 to today, we've housed roughly 1,400 chronically homeless people that live in a home. And we have a system in place today in Boston. It's a system. It doesn't mean we ended homelessness yet. That's our goal. But we ended homelessness, chronic homelessness, or ended chronic homelessness in Boston. But that means there's still people homeless on the street. Because some of the young people in this room, you're homeless. And you might not be deemed chronic, you might not be on the street 5 or 10 years, but you're homeless. So how do we deal with that? How do we deal with people that are on the street? So we need to continue to have conversations and a plan and carry that plan out. The plan in Boston, our plan honestly in Boston is to end homelessness. Now does that mean that we will ever have a day when no one's homeless in the city? No. Because every day somebody new is going to be homeless because the circumstances that people are homeless are all over the place. I was asked by a reporter who was here today about homelessness, and they asked me a question about how do we end homelessness, I forgot the question, Kathleen, you said, when do you want this done by? And I said, today. Because what I mean by that, yesterday is probably a better answer. We need to continue to move forward and continue to now come up with a plan that you're doing here today, and we need to implement that plan. And we need to make sure the right people are at the table. And if you look around this room, and I'm looking around this room, we have former federal authorities that were here that were responsible to make sure that we did our plan. We have people in the shelter systems that are here that want to make sure that we follow through on our plan. We have people from the business community, workforce council here that want to follow through on our plan. We have all the people in the room that need to be in the room to make sure that we take the next step. And that's what we have to do. I also was asked about the high number of LGBTQ and African-American kids of color homelessness. And what I said to the reporter, I said, when I look at homelessness, it's important for us that, yeah, the numbers are high, we have to get to the root cause, but there's no one person on the street has the same issues while they're on the street. Some people on the street because they have an addiction. And their family, the family can't take them anymore, and they can't take their family anymore, they end up on the street because it's the last stop. But when you get into recovery, your life turns around. Some people have untreated mental illness, meaning, I'm not saying there's mental illness, I'm saying that there's depression and bipolar and all of that stuff that needs to be treated. And if you simply go to a doctor and we can work with the medical facility and get somebody the treatment they need to be able to get back on square one, that's good. We can do that. We have young people that are gay and transgender that weren't accepted or not accepted by their family. It's a little different today in some cases than it was when I started in this business, but it's still bad in some cases for families, and for kids, I should say, and people. They don't know what to do, so they end up on the street because they say, okay, my community doesn't want me. So you end up on the street. So there's a lot of different issues that we have to deal with. But the root cause is we need to make sure Because the challenges you have, whether it's addiction, or you have a challenge with your family, and you're homeless, when you get a home, you still have the issue. Meaning there's still the challenge, I should say, not the issue, the challenges. And that we need to make sure that we help you support to overcome those challenges. Because it's simply not having an apartment. It's about having an apartment which makes you have a roof over your head. But that doesn't mean that the problems that you have don't stay there. When I got sober, when I went to detox, and I got out of detox 23 years ago next week, you know, I might have come out, I was sober a day at a time for about 21 days, and things were okay for me, but that doesn't mean that all the nonsense that I did and all the stuff I could do, it wasn't dealt with. So as time went on, I dealt with what I had to deal with in front of me, making amends to people, what I dealt with just saying sorry to somebody. I had to deal with where I was in my life, what I had to do in my life. So I think it's important this conversation. Okay? I was asked, Stephanie, I think it was Stephanie said to me, you know, what did you say about the big shot? The people up here.
The higher ups need to get behind
the higher ups. Stephanie talked about higher ups. I guess I'm a higher up. And I said, the higher ups is just a title in front of your name. It's important for people to understand that you know, I might be the mayor of Boston today, but I'm just a person. I'm another person. And it's important for us to let the higher ups, let the elected officials know, and let people in positions of power know what needs to be done. Tell your story. Tell your story. It's important to tell your story. When people hear your story, they're like, oh, wow. You know what happened to tell the story? They identify with your story, and they know somebody in their family that has the same issue as you do. Everybody has. They're not going to say, well, my kid is an addict, and they're not going to talk about that because they're stigmatized. But if you talk about it, they'll talk about it. So anyway, so my point of being here today is that we are going to make a difference. This is not me just saying this. To the young people, and there's a lack of trust between elected officials and leadership officials and young people. And I can't blame you for that lack of trust. What I say this to you is that as this council continues to form and grow, and your voice is already heard, look what you've done. Continue to talk to the people in this room. Continue to talk to the officials in this room. Continue to push us to move forward. This issue will not be resolved by the 4th of July. But by the 4th of July, you will have made an impact in people's lives. Because you already have, in your own life. And continue to work. And I want to just thank all of the organizations that are here. This week, for me, has been my homeless week. I went to an event at Heading Home early in the week, and they had a fundraiser, and they have a homeless program, and I went to a fundraiser. Yesterday morning, I was at Pine Street Inn's breakfast. And I told a story yesterday at Pine Street Inn's breakfast about my first time on the Pine Street Inn van. I went out and I went around the city of Boston. I was so moved by seeing homeless people and where they were living. They were living behind the McCormick building. They were living behind the chapel on the waterfront. They were living in different places, and some were addiction, some was addicts, some were down in their luck, some were gay, some were straight, some were white, some were black, some were Latino, some were Asian. It was homelessness and addiction doesn't look at the color of your skin or your race or who you are. Unfortunately, it's an awful thing. But it was one of those times for me as a person that I realized how important it was to me as an elected official, a person with a title, a so-called big shot, to step up and do the right thing. And I also know it's a slow process. In 2015, I'll tell you this last story. In 2015, we did the homeless census count in Boston. And I was walking around with a bunch of people at Downtown Crossing, and across from where Primark is, where the old Filings is, there's a bookstore there, Barnes & Nobles, and in the bookstore, in the path, there's a big entranceway, big round arch, and there was somebody sitting in the dead middle of it, and the person had on this sleeping bag jacket bag that Bob Kraft actually gave out. And I went up to this person. I didn't know who it was. I didn't know man, woman, I didn't know anything. I walk over and I said, hi, Jim Green was with me, and I said, can we help you tonight? And she looked up. It was a young girl. When I say young girl, probably 23. And I said, do you want to go to the shelter? And she said, no. I said, do you need anything? No. I said, and I talked to her privately. I kind of went down. I said, why don't we go in the shelter? Because I don't feel safe in the shelter. And it was 2015. 2017, And I thought of her often. She read books. She told me she read books all the time. In 2017, I was doing a walkthrough of downtown Crossing with the business leaders because they were complaining about homeless people sleeping in the doorways. So I get on and I happen to see this girl. She's there again. I go, oh my God, how you doing? I said, I met you 2 years ago. She goes, oh my God, you remember me? I said, you read the books and we're talking about stuff and we're going on and on and on. I said, have you gone to us in the city and with Pine Street, we've created a program with the housing surge and trying to get people into housing, and we have this new program now. We didn't have it in 2015, set up the way it is today. And she said, no, I haven't, but you know, at some point I'll want to go into a house or whatever. And we had a conversation and I gave her a hug and we left. January of this year, I'm doing a walk around the town again. We're doing the homeless census count. And I'm down on the corner of Arch Street where I think it's Tedeschi's that's there. Yeah. And this young girl walks up to me. She's there again. Third time I see her. She goes, Mia, how are you? I'm like, I'm doing good. And I said, what's going on? She goes, I got an apartment. She said, I went to Rosie's place. They hooked me up with the programs, and I'm in an apartment today. And I left there that night, and I felt grateful. I had a grateful heart that night because it worked. Now it took 3 years, but it worked. So my message to the young people and to everyone in the room is: you're gonna get frustrated because I do. You're gonna get angry because I do. You're gonna have a grateful heart at some points because I do, because you're making a difference. So I would say to the committee, the members here of the council, will you leave here today smile? Because I can honestly say to you, as mayor for 4 years now, I've walked into a lot of conversations about homelessness, and we've had a lot of people in the room. We've never, ever, in my time as mayor or as a state representative, had a crowd this big talking about homelessness that wasn't a fundraiser or a community meeting where I get yelled at. You've made a difference. Thank you everyone in this room for what you do. I'm grateful to be able to come here today. This has been a tough week. It's for me to end the week on a Friday, to be here knowing that there are so many other people working on youth homelessness continually, not just the organizations that do the work on a daily basis, but everyone really focused on it. Thank you. I give you my commitment on behalf of the city of Boston, and I can't speak for anyone else. We are going to be at the table until we continue to work. And our goal is to end youth homelessness. And hopefully we will get it done. And if we don't end it, well, we want a system in place where somebody ends up on the street, the first night they're on the street, somebody grabs them, gets them into a system, gets them into a program, gets them where they need to go.